Whew. Don't do too much of that stuff, guys, it's bad. Okay, so today I want to talk about two things. And it's going to be basically about how you should be charging your clients when you're doing freelance work, okay? And what's the pros and cons of each? There's no really right or wrong answer, but I think as a freelance designer, it's definitely really beneficial to take a closer look at these and then kind of make a decision for yourself. So, without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so when you're getting commissions from clients, right, and someone asks you, hey, how much, what do you charge? I don't know your rates. There's basically two things that you can tell people, right? You either charge per project or you either charge per hour. I want to start off with the one that I personally use, and I usually think this is a good recommendation for freelancers starting off. And that's basically you got charged per project. The pros of it is that the costs that you give your clients at the beginning is what you're gonna get. Lay out the ground rules. This is what I charge for this service. If you need additional services, it's gonna be this much, and this is what you're gonna get at the end of the project, so forth and so forth. And why is this a good method, right? So this is a good method because this is a real testament to your proficiency as a graphic designer, your knowledge of your equipment and your programs, and also, how fast you can get your projects done. And that's one of the key things I'm gonna really be kind of talking a lot about. Is you gotta work fast, because the faster you work, the more money you make per project. Now, that's not to say being fast is more important than being accurate and getting the job done correctly. You have to make sure you follow all the specs, you make sure you make no mistakes, cross your T's, dot your I's, and make sure that you get the project done to them perfectly, but you just gotta get it faster and faster every single time. Let's just start. Let's just say, for example, you charge like a client, let's say $500 for a logo. Okay, and for me, based on my previous experiences, I've gotten logos done anywhere from 15 hours to about 20 hours. And when I work on these things, I basically shut off all of my distractions, turn off all my social media. I don't talk to anybody when I work. I want to get it done as fast as I can. I want to make sure I'm laser focused on this, okay? So that I don't spend more time than I have to on this, because with little distractions here and there, it takes a lot of time to kind of like get back into the rhythm of everything. So I try not to get just distracted when I do my work. If it takes you about 10 hours to finish a $500 logo, you made $50 an hour. That's pretty dang good. If it takes you about 20 hours to do this project, your pay is gonna go down to $25 an hour. So it just really all depends on how fast you get the work done. Now, with a lot of experience, the time it takes to finish a project gets lower and lower and lower, and then what you make per hour goes up, right? To really capitalize on this concept, you really gotta perfect a lot of things. You gotta really know your programs really well. You need to be able to navigate through like Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, and UI UX programs. Maybe doing some videos, video editing, some web stuff. But either way, you gotta really know all of your programs really well. Your foundations on design has to be super solid so that you can get things done pretty much right the first time. Your ability to read the client and what they need is super, super important here, because once you get a good read on what they want, there's going to be a lot less revisions. So a lot of my projects I deal with actually come with 2 revisions and a finalization period, right? But if you get a good read on your customers, a lot of times I don't even go through the second revision period, and the clients like the stuff that I do already, and they're like, okay, well, this is actually exactly what I'm looking for. So I think we could just kind of clean everything up and then we'll be good to go. So work on those 3 things if you really want to make charging per project and make it worthwhile for you. Now, what are the cons of working per project? The cons obviously are, if you work slow, this isn't going to work out for you, because it's just going to take too long for you to get anything done, basically, and your time invested and the results produced, the ratio of that just doesn't really make sense. So one of the cons that comes from charging per project is it's going to be the objections that the clients are going to give you. They're going to be like, why is this cost $500? Like, where's all my money going, right? And so, this is one of those things you're going to have to get better at overcoming this objection. But, one way to basically dictate the prices that you sell is you can kind of just see what local competitors are doing it for, Local competitors, let's just say if their local graphic design shop is, charging like $800 a logo, you can, just as a freelancer, you don't have that much overhead, you can charge like $500, right? You can factor in your experience. I've been doing this for X amount of years. I've done it for this, and this client. Here are my results. And then you can also talk about your previous closed jobs, right? Like you can say my last job I've completed for this same project, I charged them $500 as well. They gave me a good testimony on that, or they were very happy with the results, okay? And that's basically how you overcome that objection. So if you were to basically ask me, what's the best way to start charging, I would recommend this way. This is the way that I basically operate, and I think it makes a lot of sense. But that's not to say that charging hourly is completely incorrect and you should never do it. And I'm gonna tell you why. Charging hourly is important because this is as straightforward as it gets. I wanna get paid this amount of dollars for this amount of work. For example, I want to get paid $30 an hour, and this project is probably gonna, take about 10, 15 hours, okay? And then you explain to them how long it takes to do everything. In fact, when I first started graphic design, I didn't charge per project, I charged per hour, okay? And I would, in order to basically build confidence in all of my clients in the process that I did, I would say, hey, it would take me about an hour to do the sketches. It would take me, an hour and a half to kind of put the initial sketches in the computer, another hour to, vectorize them, and then clean it up. It would take about this many hours and minutes, and my first revision process is gonna take this amount. So everything was super detailed and, written down, right? This is a good way to kind of really, itemize your services, okay? Now, one of the main issues that I had when I was doing this system was that, this is a con by the way, is that I often ran into the objection where the clients, maybe because I was starting off and they just kind of were trying to save extra money, they would rationalize it. They would try to justify why certain things wouldn't take as long as it should, right? They're like, oh, okay, well, our design is, really simple. It shouldn't take that much time, and so forth and so forth, right? And especially when you're starting off and you deal with some clients that aren't very necessarily, versed in dealing with professional graphic designers or freelancers, they'll start questioning you, why does it take so long to do certain these things? Why does it take you an hour to do this? Why does it take you an hour to do that? And then, with experience, you get better and better at overcoming those objections. At the end of the day, that's what you're gonna have to run into. And what I come to find out is this, right? When I did hourly work, as I got better at doing things, I realized that I was able to get things done faster than the time that I was quoting them for. When I first started, like my first year doing freelance graphic design, I charged like $75 a logo, right? And those logos basically took me like 5 hours to make. I barely made like above minimum wage. This is like back in like 2011 or something. I didn't really make that much. So then my following logos after that, I charged again probably like $75 to $100, but I got these logos done like a lot faster. And then you start reading the kind of clients that you have, and when clients are in that ballpark, when they're looking for like $50 logos, I mean, I hate to have to say this, but most of them in that range, they can't really tell the difference between like a $100 logo and then like a $3,000 logo, right? They doesn't resonate with them that well. They haven't worked with design that much. I think design is cheap, right? They don't know the cost of bad design. After a while, I realized I can get these done a lot faster, and if I wanted to be honest with myself, I just basically said, hey man, this would probably take like 3 hours, and then I wanted to charge about $30 an hour, so that's about $90, right? So that made a lot of sense to me. $90 for a 3-hour logo, no problem. But then this is where I had the real change of heart, okay? I started looking around at some of my local competitors, and I realized that they were charging fixed prices for a logo, starting at this price, blah, 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 and they're gonna give you this service, this service, this service. You charge per service, not per hour of things done. And then I would realize, oh my gosh, they're charging like $800, $900 for a logo, and I'm over here charging like $90, So then I was like, maybe I can just charge $500 to be competitive with the competitors, but at the same time give my clients more services, right? So I'll give them, a few extra rounds of revisions. I will also over deliver on each of their requests. So I would say, so if they wanted like 3 initial mockups, I'll give them 5. If they want a revision in 2 days, I give them a revision in 1 day. Something like that, right? So at that point, everybody's happy. when you over deliver and you give things on time, okay? Those are basically the two most common ways of charging people. I guess, when it comes to the amount that you charge, it's, again, based very on your own discretion and your own experiences. And I'm really not here to dictate that for you. But again, one of the biggest pieces of advice that I can give when it comes to that is look at the people around you and look at the competition around you, see what they're charging, and see the level of work that they're putting out, see where your level is in comparison to that, and then you kind of do a little ratio, right? So if your local graphic design company produces things that are like stellar and they're charging like $2,000 a logo, and if you're looking at your own work and you're being pretty honest about it and you're like, okay, well, my stuff isn't necessarily that good, but I am willing to basically do the same types of services that they're doing for a fraction of that cost. So I would be willing to maybe do a logo for maybe $300, right? Maybe it's not gonna be like the level that's gonna be as good as the local graphic design companies. You'll be able to have something, you'll be able to kind of at least gauge how much this service is worth, and then you can actually bring that to the table when you work with your clients. Now, one of the things I want to talk about, that working hourly does have its benefits in the fact that you will run into a client that, but hey, graphic designer, I don't know, I have no idea. I know I want to start this company. We're super in the starting phases. We kind of know what we want, but at the same time, we're looking for someone with really creative ideas that really kind of take us to the next level. So, we have nothing kind of sketched out. We want you to kind of just, start brainstorming for us. And then at that point, you start charging out because you want to be able to monetize your creativity. Okay, if you charge per project and say, okay, here, no problem, I designed this logo for you, and at the end of the day, I'm gonna charge $500. They're like, oh wow, wonderful, $500 for this? We're a startup company, that's totally within, that's totally reasonable, let's do that. But if they're starting with like a blank slate, and basically anything goes, any kind of design goes, and creativity and brainstorming is the main thing here, the scope is not well defined, you're gonna be in trouble, because at that point, you're gonna keep submitting so many different types of revisions to them that, again, this is gonna go back to the amount of work put in and the results produced. That ratio is not gonna be worth it. And at the end of the day, they can basically just drag on the project until they find something they like, because you've already locked into this fixed price for a creative process that you initially didn't know was gonna take so long. So when a client tells you, hey, I have no idea what's going on, they'd be like, okay, no problem. There's gonna be, for this part of the project, I'll charge hourly, which is basically the creative discovery process, right? We're gonna discover what you like, okay? And I charge about $25 an hour. So let's start now. I'm gonna help you start brainstorming. It's gonna take me about 2 hours to do research here. I'm gonna come up with some ideas, let me know what you think, and then we'll go from there. And this way, the clients also have incurring financial obligation that they have to go through, right? Because the longer they take to decide on what they want, the more money you're gonna make. So it's gonna work out for you as well, and it's gonna make it so that they don't just keep scope creeping everything, where scope creeping is basically where they keep adding stuff on and they know they can do it because you've already got locked into a specific price. That's happened to me a lot before. A lot of stuff that I wish I'd tell you now, someone told me back then. So just don't make the same mistakes as me. So yeah, that's I think that basically just wraps it up. To summarize everything, two types of commission structures, the most common at least, right, is charge per project and charge by hourly. Okay, whichever one, depending on what works for you, go with it. But for me personally, I think charging per project makes the most sense. And okay, so happy freelancing on everything, and good luck on all of your future endeavors. So if you have any questions, please leave in the comments below. Let me know if this was helpful, and I'll make more of these in the future. So yeah, good luck on everything, and good luck freelancing. Peace.